Some of them were imprisoned, some were beaten, some were exiled from their homes, and some died while defending the truth. Yet their names survived for more than 1,000 years. They were not kings, they were not generals. They did not build empires with armies. They built something far greater. They preserved knowledge, they protected the Sunnah, and they became lights for generations after them. Today we will walk through the lives of 9 great Imams of Islam, men whose knowledge shaped history, men whose patience became a lesson, and men whose legacy still speaks to the hearts of Muslims around the world. Our journey begins in the city of Kufa in Iraq. In the year 80 after Hijrah, a child was born. His name was An-Nu'man ibn Thabit, but history would remember him as Imam Abu Hanifa. He became the founder of the Hanafi school of Islamic law, one of the most influential schools in the Muslim world. But his beginning was very simple. As a young man, Abu Hanifa worked as a silk merchant. He walked through the markets. He bought and sold goods. And at first his life seemed far from the world of scholarship. But Allah had prepared something greater for him. One day a scholar noticed his intelligence. He saw signs of brilliance in the young man. So he advised him to seek knowledge. That advice changed Abu Hanifa's life forever. He left behind the ordinary path of trade and entered the path of sacred knowledge. Soon, Abu Hanifa became known for his sharp mind, his deep understanding, his strong character, and his ability to answer difficult questions with wisdom. But knowledge is not only tested in classrooms, sometimes it is tested in front of power. During the rule of the Abbasid Caliph, Abu Ja'far al-Mansur, Imam Abu Hanifa was offered the position of chief judge. It was a powerful position, a position of honor in the eyes of many people. But Abu Hanifa refused. The Caliph became angry. He asked him, "Do you reject what we are offering you?" Abu Hanifa answered with calmness and courage, "I am not fit to be a judge. If I am truthful, then I am not fit for the position. And if I am lying, then a liar is not fit to be a judge." The people were amazed by his answer, but his courage came with a heavy price. He was imprisoned, he was beaten, and he suffered greatly because he refused to let knowledge become a servant of political power. In the year 150 after Hijrah, Imam Abu Hanifa passed away in Baghdad. Some reports mention that he died while in prison, and it is said that before his final breath he made a long prostration to Allah, a life of knowledge, a life of dignity, and a final moment in humility before his Lord. From Kufa, we now move to the blessed city of Medina, the city of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. There, in the year 93 after Hijrah, Malik ibn Anas was born. He would later be known as Imam Malik, the Imam of Dar al-Hijrah, the Imam of the city of migration, and the founder of the Maliki school of Islamic law. He was also the author of Al-Muwatta, one of the great early books of Islamic knowledge. Imam Malik grew up with a deep love for learning. Even though his family faced hardship, his heart was attached to knowledge. He respected the words of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, with extraordinary reverence. For him, hadith was not just information, it was sacred trust. It is said that Imam Malik would not ride an animal inside Medina, out of respect for the land where the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, was buried. He once said, "I feel ashamed before Allah to let the hoof of an animal step on the land where the Messenger of Allah is buried." This was the level of his respect. This was the depth of his love. But Imam Malik was not only known for what he knew, he was also known for what he refused to say. When people asked him questions, he was never afraid to answer, "I do not know." Sometimes he would be asked many questions. He would answer only a few, and for the rest he would say, "I do not know," because to him giving a religious answer was not a performance. It was a responsibility before Allah. In the year 179 after Hijrah, Imam Malik lay on his deathbed in Medina. Despite his knowledge, his worship, and his service to Islam, he cried. When people asked him why he was crying, he said words filled with humility. "I wish I had been beaten with whips for every answer I gave based on my own opinion. I wish I had not given those fatwas." These were not the words of a careless man. These were the words of a scholar who understood the weight of speaking in the name of religion. Imam Malik passed away in Medina, and he was buried in al-Baqi, near the Prophet whose sunnah he had spent his life preserving. But knowledge does not always grow in comfort. Sometimes it grows in poverty. Sometimes it begins with an orphan child and a mother's hope. In the city of Gaza in Palestine, Muhammad ibn Idris ash-Shafi'i was born. He would later become Imam ash-Shafi'i, the founder of the Shafi'i school of Islamic law. His father passed away when he was young, so he grew up as an orphan. His mother took him to Mecca so he could seek knowledge and remain connected to his noble lineage. But they were poor, very poor. He did not always have paper to write on, so he wrote on bones, on leather, and on whatever material he could find. But poverty did not stop him. It only made his determination stronger. He memorized the Quran at a young age. Then he studied Arabic deeply. He traveled to the desert and lived among Arab tribes. There he mastered eloquence, poetry, and the language of the Arabs. His memory became legendary. It is said that when he read a book, he would cover one page while reading the other, because he feared that his eyes might memorize the next page before he was ready for it. But Imam ash-Shafi'i was not only a man of memory, he was a man of method. He helped organize the principles of Islamic law. He showed how evidence should be understood, how the Quran, the Sunnah consensus and reasoning should be approached. He gave structure to knowledge, and through that structure generations of scholars benefited from him. In the year 204 after Hijrah, Imam ash-Shafi'i became seriously ill in Egypt. His illness was painful, and his body became weak. During his final days, his student al-Muzani entered and asked, "How are you this morning, Abu Abdullah?" Imam ash-Shafi'i raised his head, and with a trembling voice he said, "This morning I am leaving this world. I am departing from my brothers. I am meeting my poor deeds. I am drinking from the cup of death, and I do not know whether my soul will go to paradise, so I may congratulate it, or to the fire, so I may mourn for it." Then the Imam began to cry, a giant of knowledge, yet humble before Allah, a man remembered by millions, yet afraid of his own shortcomings. Some scholars preserve knowledge with books, others preserve it with their bodies, with pain, with patience, and with chains. In Baghdad in the year 164, after Hijrah, Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal was born. He would become known as Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the founder of the Hanbali school of Islamic law and the author of Al-Musnad. Imam Ahmad dedicated his life to hadith. He traveled across the Muslim world in search of narrations. He walked long distances. He endured hardship, and he gathered knowledge from many scholars. But his greatest test came during a time of political and theological pressure. This period became known as Al-Mina, the trial. The rulers tried to force scholars to accept a particular statement about the Quran. Many people were afraid. Some remained silent. Some gave in under pressure. But Imam Ahmad stood firm. He refused to speak without proof from the Quran and the Sunnah. He was imprisoned. He was whipped. He was beaten until he lost consciousness. His body was wounded, but his heart did not surrender. When they pressured him, he continued to say, "Bring me evidence from the Book of Allah or the Sunnah of His Messenger, and I will accept it." Those words became a symbol of courage, because true knowledge does not bow to fear, and truth does not change because power demands it. In the year 241, after Hijrah, Imam Ahmad passed away in Baghdad. His funeral became one of the most famous funerals in Islamic history. Some historical reports mention that huge crowds came out to attend it. The streets of Baghdad filled with people, the markets closed, and his famous meaning was remembered. Between us and the people of falsehood is the day of funerals. His life showed that a scholar may be alone in prison, but if he stands for truth, Allah can make his legacy live in millions of hearts. Now we travel to Bukhara. There in the year 194, after Hijrah, Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari was born. He would become known as Imam al-Bukhari, the author of Sahih al-Bukhari, a book widely regarded by Sunni scholars as the most authentic book after the Quran. But his life began with a trial. As a child, he lost his eyesight. His mother wept and made dua to Allah. She prayed with sincerity in the darkness of the night. Then, by Allah's mercy, his sight was restored. That child would grow to become one of the greatest hadith scholars in history. Imam al-Bukhari had a remarkable memory. But memory alone did not make him great. His greatness came from discipline, from precision, from sincerity, and from his deep concern for authenticity. He traveled from land to land. He met scholars. He collected narrations. He examined chains of transmission. And he worked with a level of care that became a standard for generations after him. But like many great scholars, he also faced hardship from rulers. One day, the ruler of Bukhara asked Imam al-Bukhari to come to the palace and teach his children privately. Imam al-Bukhari refused. He did not want knowledge to be treated like something carried to the doors of power. He said, in meaning, knowledge is sought. Knowledge does not go to people. If he needs hadith, let him come to the mosque or to my home. The ruler became upset, and Imam al-Bukhari was forced to leave his homeland. Exile is painful, especially for a man whose heart is attached to knowledge, worship, and community. One night, Imam al-Bukhari turned to Allah and prayed, "O Allah, the earth has become narrow for me despite its vastness. So take me back to you." Not long after, he became ill. In the year 256 after Hijrah near Samarkand, Imam al-Bukhari passed away. He left behind a book that students of knowledge still study until today. His body left the world, but his work remained, and his name became inseparable from the preservation of hadith. Knowledge needs passion, but it also needs precision, and few lives show this better than Imam Abu Dawood. His full name was Sulaiman ibn al-Ash'ath. He was born in the region of Sijistan, and he became known to the world as Abu Dawood, the author of Sunan Abi Dawood. He devoted his life to collecting and preserving hadith. It is reported that he gathered hundreds of thousands of narrations, then selected only a small portion for his book. He chose carefully, he reviewed deeply, and he arranged his work to serve scholars, judges, and students of Islamic law. Imam Abu Dawood was so attached to knowledge that even his clothing reflected his mission. It is said that one sleeve of his garment was wider than the other. When people asked him why, he gave a simple answer: "The wide sleeve is for carrying my books and papers, so I can write down hadith as soon as I hear it. As for the other sleeve, there is no need to widen it. That would be wasteful." This small detail shows the character of the man: focused, careful, practical, and completely devoted to his purpose. Later in his life, the ruler of Basra asked him to move to the city. Basra had suffered from conflict and decline. The ruler hoped that if Abu Dawood lived there, students would gather around him, and knowledge would bring life back to the city. Abu Dawood accepted. He moved to Basra. He taught there. He spread the Sunnah, and students came to learn from him. In the year 275 after Hijrah, Imam Abu Dawood passed away in Basra. He died as a servant of hadith, a man whose knowledge did not only fill books, it helped revive a city. In Nishapur in the year 204 after Hijrah, Muslim ibn al-Hajjaj was born. He would become known as Imam Muslim, the author of Sahih Muslim, one of the greatest collections of authentic hadith in Islamic history. Imam Muslim was not poor in the beginning. He was a merchant, and Allah had given him wealth, but he used that wealth in the path of knowledge. He traveled, he studied, he spent his time and resources collecting hadith, and he became one of the greatest students of Imam al-Bukhari. His love and respect for al-Bukhari were extraordinary. When Imam al-Bukhari came to Nishapur, crowds gathered around him. Imam Muslim came forward with deep respect. He honored his teacher, and he praised his mastery of hadith. This was the humility of true scholars. Even when they become great, they still recognize the greatness of those who taught them. Imam Muslim's dedication to hadith continued until the end of his life. One day, in a gathering, he was asked about a hadith. At that moment, he could not recall it. So he returned home and began searching through his books. He became completely absorbed in research. A basket of dates was placed near him. As he searched, he ate from it without noticing. One date after another. His mind was focused only on finding the narration. By dawn he found what he was looking for, but he had eaten too many dates without realizing it. Some reports say this led to sudden illness, and soon after, in the year 261, after Hijra, Imam Muslim passed away. Whether every detail of this story is taken literally or as part of the historical memory around him, its message is clear. Imam Muslim lived and died with his heart attached to the Sunnah. He gave his wealth, his time, his energy, and his final strength to the service of Hadith. In the city of Tirmidhi, in the year 209, after Hijra, Muhammad ibn Isa at-Tirmidhi was born. He would become known as Imam at-Tirmidhi, the author of Jami at-Tirmidhi. He was among the great scholars of Hadith and one of the brilliant students of Imam al-Bukhari. Imam at-Tirmidhi had a powerful memory, but he also had something even more beautiful, a soft heart. He was known for knowledge, but also for humility, worship, and fear of Allah. During one of his journeys, some scholars tested his memory. They read a number of hadith to him that he had not heard before. Then they asked him to repeat them. By Allah's permission, he repeated them with astonishing accuracy. The chains, the texts, the details. The people were amazed, but at-Tirmidhi was not arrogant because of this gift. He knew that memory was a blessing, and blessings must be carried with humility. He loved his teacher Imam al-Bukhari deeply. When al-Bukhari passed away, at-Tirmidhi grieved intensely. Some reports mention that he cried so much that he eventually lost his eyesight near the end of his life. But even when his eyes became blind, his heart remained full of light. He continued to be remembered for his knowledge, his sincerity, and his service to the Sunnah. In the year 279, after Hijra, Imam at-Tirmidhi passed away in his homeland. He left behind a book that continues to be studied across the Muslim world, a treasure of hadith, and a reminder that knowledge is most beautiful when it is carried by a humble heart. Our final stop is the city of Nasa in the region of Khurasan. There, in the year 215 after Hijra, Ahmad ibn Shu'aib an-Nasai was born. He became known as Imam an-Nasai, the author of Sunan an-Nasai. He was one of the great scholars of hadith, known for his precision, his strict standards, and his careful judgment of narrators. Some scholars even considered his conditions in certain areas to be stricter than those of Imam Muslim. He was also known for worship, discipline, and devotion. It is reported that he often fasted one day and broke his fast the next, but the end of his life was painful, and it showed the danger scholars can face when religion becomes mixed with sectarian pressure. Near the end of his life, Imam an-Nasai traveled to Damascus. There he saw tensions among some people regarding the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He became concerned when he saw disrespect toward Ali ibn Abi Talib, may Allah be pleased with him. So he wrote about the virtues of Ali, but then some people pressured him to produce similar material for political or sectarian reasons. Imam an-Nasai refused to speak without authentic knowledge. He would not allow fabricated narrations to be used in the name of religion. This is an important point. Imam an-Nasai was not attacking the companions. The companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, remain honored in Islam. His concern was different. He was defending the honesty of hadith. He was refusing to let false reports become religious proof. But some people did not accept his position. A group attacked him. He was beaten severely. He was kicked and injured, and his body became very weak. As he was carried away, he made a final request. "Take me to Makkah. I want to die there." His students carried him, and after suffering from his injuries, Imam an-Nasai passed away. He died as a scholar who refused to bend knowledge for pressure. His life reminds us that truth must be protected. Even when people become angry, even when politics becomes loud, even when honesty becomes dangerous. These were 9 great Imams of Islam: Abu Hanifa, Malik, Ash-Shafi'i, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, al-Bukhari, Abu Dawud, Muslim, at-Tirmidhi, and an-Nasai. They lived in different cities, They faced different trials, and they served Islam in different ways. Some were jurists, some were hadith masters, some organized knowledge, some collected narrations, some stood against pressure, and some suffered because they refused to compromise the truth. They were not perfect men. No human being is perfect, except the prophets. But they were sincere servants of knowledge. They feared Allah, they honored the Sunnah, and they carried the religion with patience and responsibility. Their bodies returned to the earth, but their knowledge remained alive. Their voices became silent, but their legacy still speaks. Every student who opens their books, every scholar who quotes their words, and every believer who benefits from their efforts is part of a chain that continues until today. May Allah have mercy on these great Imams. May He reward them for their service to Islam. May He forgive their shortcomings. And may He make us among those who love truth, honor knowledge, respect the scholars, and follow the guidance of the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. Peace be upon you. And may the mercy and blessings of Allah be with you.